Hey, 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 everybody, come on in. Ooh, some of you are probably if some of you are on the East Coast, maybe you're getting ready for the storms coming in. Um, but in any case, welcome and thanks for joining us. Alan is saying he sees many of the usual suspects, the people in our program, the usual suspects. And so we're glad you're here. I'm going to get right to Well, he's saying hold off. He want me to talk about what I mentioned in the group about why it seems like this journey to be your own medium and do direct spirit communication seems difficult for a lot of people, maybe most people, okay? And and this is the thing, especially if you're dealing with grief, first you're having to process that. Okay, that's a big thing. And then with that comes, of course, a lot of beliefs you have about the afterlife, if you've never thought of it before, or whether you doubted it, or whether, yeah, some people never even crossed their mind, right? For a lot of people, the first time they really think about these things is when someone near to them does cross over, understandably, because you don't have to confront physical loss. I'm not going to say death because they're not dead. Okay, so, but you're needing to then deal with sudden physical loss. I mean, even if you're anticipating the person's transitioning, like if they were sick, it doesn't matter whether they're sick for a long time or just for an hour or what have you, whether it's expected, not expected, it's still rather shocking. It is shocking for someone who was once here to no longer be here. Okay, so that just that, and then everything that comes with the physical transition of somebody that comes with it, right? Because a lot of times there's financial things, there are a myriad list of things that you have to contend with, right? That throws your life into a tailspin, and so we get it. And underneath that is very common for people they come into our group and say, I really want to talk to my mom or my son or my partner or my pet. It doesn't matter who it is. And all of that is possible, all right? If it wasn't possible, you wouldn't have mediumship at all. Like mediums would not be here. And I want you to take note of that and understand that if they can do it, I'm here to tell you, you can do it too. And you can actually do it better because they want to talk to you and they may not want to talk to the medium. Especially nowadays when Alan says, because spirits understand that we're raising our consciousness, the veil is thinning and thinning and thinning every minute, right? So they know on the other side, like, wait, I'm here. You can feel me. I've been transmitting my love, my presence, and everything I can do, right? Standing on my head. They don't have a physical head, but you know what I mean. They've been like knocking on your door. And because of your limiting beliefs, you're sitting there going, did I feel something? Did I hear something? Is that real? And not that they get frustrated, because they don't. There's none of that on the other side. They understand. But they're just like, oh, well, you know. So they first have to believe. And that's why we've talked endlessly on this subject on our YouTube channel. So if you're new to the group, please go to the YouTube channel, Be Your Own Medium, same name as the group. You can't tell me I don't know the name of your channel, same name as the group. Go there, watch all the videos. I mean it. You want to learn this? I've taught you for free there. You don't have to pay me a penny. I did that so that people would have that information, right? That said, you're going to need more than my 200 videos or whatever to get you there because you're up against your limiting beliefs and your programming about what you can't see. Okay. And understand that this is a deep program that runs through our lineage, not just your family lineage, but let's say through humanity's lineage, okay, not that this wasn't something accepted long ago, because it was. Spirit communication was very normal and natural, and in some indigenous groups, it's still happening, and they think it's like very ordinary. But for Western society, they just pushed this aside, and the powers that be wanted to control everyone. So they had to take back your power, take your power from you by convincing you that only they knew what was true. And when I say powers that be, I mean don't mean just government. I mean religions. Okay, most, if not all, religions have been contaminated. They may have started out pure to begin with, but humans being humans, somewhere along the way, they got tainted because power and control are intoxicating. And please don't tell me that you don't understand that religious leaders are drunk with power. Okay. Spiritual power is addictive, even to the New Age community. There are spiritual teachers who get drunk on that power of people turning over their power to them and believing that they can save them, or they have all the answers. We're not here with that message at all. It's the opposite. I'm here to empower you, and I'd rather you not believe me and reject everything I'm saying and go with what you feel to be true and forget about me or anybody else, because I know that is your highest path. That's the highest path for everybody. Okay? So if anything I say doesn't resonate, let it go. Don't give your power away to me or anybody else. But this is why this journey to have not just random, sporadic spirit communication with someone on your side. And when I say someone on your side, I include guides and angels, any spirit beings, right? Non-physical beings. But it's challenging for most people because society doesn't support that yet. They will in time. They may this may be in your lifetime. I don't know if it'll be in mine, only because I'm a bit older than the average person in our community, but it could be. But I would say, Alan was saying, in about 10 years' time, if not sooner, people are already becoming more telepathic. That's going to ramp up, being telepathic, which is really being empathic. Because when you are able to kind of be one with others and be on the same frequency as others, you know what they're saying. You don't have to talk like, oh, you said this and this, or this is what I think. You just know what the other person is saying or what they're feeling, what's going on with them. It's like almost nonverbal communication, right? That's increasing on this planet. If some of you may be familiar with the telepathy tapes, right, where these kids that are autistic are being shown to be telepathic, like they'll take the parents of this kid into another room and the child can describe what the parent is doing, right, or what they're thinking. They just know. But Alan says all kids actually, especially when they're little, until they're kind of conditioned out of it, kind of know that. They're able to read their parent and know what their emotional state is, and in some cases, like what's going on, what thoughts are in there, because that's just how we're wired. We're wired because we're really all one, and it's an illusion that we're separate. So children know that. It's only when they become around age 7 or 8 that they start separating a bit. Okay, and this is normal. This is nothing's gone wrong. They start to become more grounded in this world and less so in the next world. But when they're little, they're more on the other side, actually. And that's why they're talking to some of them talking to their invisible playmates, right? That's the real thing. They're not making it up. Alan says children don't make up anything, not really. They're just saying what's here and saying, oh, this is here, and describing it or going into their imagination and getting some message from the spirit world, from their higher self, from the other side, and go, oh, okay, I see this. And then they draw it, right? They're not making things up. They're, it's the conscious mind that will make things up, that can make things up. If you told them, all right, draw a purple dinosaur, Billy, he could draw the purple dinosaur because you told him to, right? Knows what the dinosaur looks like, maybe because he saw that on PBS or something or a movie, and he knows the color purple probably by then, depending on his age, so he can draw the purple dinosaur. But for him to just draw it out of nowhere, right? He's seeing it in his mind. He's not like, I think I'll draw a purple dinosaur. Like, it's just coming in, like flowing in, right? Naturally, just flowing into his consciousness, like, I'm getting the image. So I'm saying all this to help you understand that you were born wired to communicate with the other side. You did that when you were little. Everyone, without exception. You just don't remember it, most of you. Some of you might. Okay, some children were really strong like that, and so they had really intense experiences, and they remember it because the intensity of it would be kind of burned in their memory, so to speak. So they have strong recall. But if you had some experiences that weren't that intense, you might have just written it off like, oh, I don't know what that was. It was no big deal to you. So I'm laying this foundation for you to understand that it is the most natural thing to communicate with the spirit world, but you must use your imagination. Understand that it is the only vehicle to take you there. How else is it going to come? Okay, your consciousness, which means you're using your mind, your consciousness is a vehicle that can travel through space and time, that can connect by connecting to the other side. So some of the things you experience in your meditations can actually be sort of visitations. Okay, on some level, you can't go there to the other side, but your mind can. And the other side, your guides, your angels, your higher self, right, can transmit messages, impressions of themselves, right, can take you on a journey in your imagination. All those things are more real than this world because we exist as spirit eternally. This, the body, your body, my body, is a temporary vessel, and it's not really us anyway. It's our consciousness that is here, inhabiting, if you will, the body that is limitless, cannot be destroyed, right? It goes on forever, has existed forever, and therefore, of course, you can communicate with another spirit being, whether they're in a body now or on the other side without a body. Makes no difference. So is everyone clear on that? I know we have mostly our students in here right now, but some people are watching this later, hopefully, and they might go, well, I never heard that before. Right? But I just want to drive the point home that all children and all people are psychic. But when you're little, you don't have any barriers there because you're just a kid, right? So parents are just going, oh, that's just Jimmy's imagination. But when you're 20 and you're saying you see whatever you see, you might have people around you going, I think there might be something wrong with you. I don't see that, right? But when you're little, yeah, you're given a lot of leeway to just be in your imagination, and your parents or people around you just say, you know, Susie just has an active imagination. Isn't that sweet? Well, that active imagination, that is your superpower. So the more you can imagine communicating, connecting with the other side, with your loved one, with your guides, the more you develop that muscle, and you'll find it easier to connect, and they will have an easier time connecting with you. Okay, because it's a two-way street. They can't do everything. You and I have to do 50% at least of the heavy lifting of that. Okay. All right. So I think I've made my case for that. um, If anyone new is here and they're trying to connect with someone in the spirit world, it is so simple. I'll say this again. I've taught about this, but I'm going to give you, you know, our method that's really simple. And please don't then think if I tell you this and you go, well, that really is too simple. Just give it a chance, like practice it, like without any, reservation. You have nothing to lose. So if you understand that you have access to the spirit world 24/7 because it is here. Understand? It's not some faraway place. There's no time and space. Everything is here. They're in another dimension that the way to, for you to understand it is like it's layered or interwoven into this one. Okay? There's no distance. Only in this reality is there things like distance, time and space, right? Linear time, distance, but not for the spirit world. So as soon as you think of them, I mean, really think of them, see them in your mind's eye, think of them. You don't have to say their name. You just think of them. They hear you, right? They're aware of you. I cannot promise you that they're always focused on you, only because there's no point to doing that all the time. But if you call on them, like right here, they're right there, right? So if you want to connect, then just be sure you're somewhere where you can be relaxed. Do your best to get in a deep, relaxed state. If you can meditate for about 10, 15 minutes to get into that relaxed state, that would be ideal. When you know you're in a relaxed state, you're not in a negative emotional state, you're not going to be bothered, there's quiet around you, okay? Then think of your loved one or call out to them in your mind. You don't have to say it out loud, although I believe that if you do speak to them out loud, it's a lot stronger because words that we speak have more energy, more weight than what we think. But you do what is comfortable for you or whatever you want to do, right? You can't really get it wrong. So try it both ways. So call out to them first, whatever way you want to, and then ask them to just connect with you and just spend time just feeling their presence if you can. If you're in deep grief, it might be challenging because your grief is getting in the way. And also because, as I've taught about this many times on our channel, when you feel intense grief that comes out of nowhere, suddenly comes, you weren't thinking of them consciously, nothing triggered your focus, them in your mind, you just kind of suddenly feel it, right? And I know if you've ever felt grief, you know what I mean, where it just kind of came suddenly on you. That is almost 99% of the time is an evidence that they are with you. And that's why you thought of them to begin with, because there's a reason why you think of somebody when you weren't thinking about them at the time, but all of a sudden you are. Okay. And you feel sad instantly because that thinking of them is triggering your thought that they're dead, because that's your belief. They're dead. Because nobody told you, as I'm telling you now, that if you feel that, that means they're there. That means they're loving you. They're trying to get through to you. Their energy is pure, positive, unconditional love in 99% of the cases. I can't say 100% because there's always exceptions, but most of the time, right? So when you suddenly feel their presence, but you're translating it in your belief system, you're remembering, oh, but you're dead. And I'm not saying you think that literally. I'm saying that unconsciously, that's what gets triggered. Oh, yeah, but you're dead. I'm thinking of you and you're dead. That's why you invert the love into grief. Your belief triggers the inversion. Okay. Whereas if you do the next time this happens, you instead realize, oh, this grief came suddenly upon me. This is you, right? Then you're shifting into their frequency now because that's true. They're here with you. Okay. That's your confirmation because that emotion is triggered by a belief. And the belief was triggered by presence, by your feeling them. This is why the spirit worlds told me, this is why in the beginning, when someone's loved one is just transitioned and the first hours or days or weeks or whatever of their physical loss, people's grief usually is quite intense. Often what's adding to that is not just their belief in loss, but because the loved one is actually there kind of going, hey, hey, I'm here and I love you. And they're just beaming love at you. And you're just feeling their presence and say, but you're gone, you're gone. You see what I mean? You are taking the love that they're showering on you because it's reminding you of them, and your belief in death, which you've been programmed to believe in, is strengthening your belief in grief, right? It's intensifying your grief response. When really, if you could relax about that and realize, wait, is this you? You'd start to shift it and feel the love instead. I know this works because I've done this with clients who were able in the moment when the grief kind of swept over them to shift it around and feel the love that was really there. So that's one thing that everyone who's grieving, I feel, should understand. Okay. That's why your grief is so heavy in the initial time period, because that is often when they're trying the hardest to say, hey, I'm here. I'm still here. And they're loving you because, and they know you're grieving and you need comfort and they're doing what they can, right? And so it's up to us to realize the dynamics here. So now if you're watching this, you understand, right? That dynamic is that they're pouring love over you, but more they love you, the more you're reminded of them, and the more you think of them, the more you believe that they're dead. So you first have to change that belief in death. You have to be open to the idea, at least, that they have survived physical death, and therefore, as a consciousness, they're still available to you. Now, if you, in your mind, in your belief system, feel or believe that that's not enough, because I've worked with people like that who said, okay, I understand that I can still have communication. Maybe I can even like feel my loved one, all that. But their belief system told was telling them that that was second best, like not enough. Like that's not going to make me happy. That is simply a belief. It's not true. It will be whatever you believe it to be, but if you believe that having a spiritual relationship with someone you love is inferior to the physical relationship, then you will make it so, right? You can't get around that. If you believe that, therefore, what you're really believing is the physical is what's real and is what's all that matters. And that is why Alan is now telling me most people will never do this because most people, he says, are addicted to the physical world. And that's okay. I mean, there's no judgment in that. It's very, very normal, completely common. Of course you are. Of course you are. That's all you know, right? So if you believe that the physicalness of reality is primary, and therefore, without even saying it, you then believe spiritual, not as important, right? Non-physical, less important. And that isn't a belief that's ever going to feel good, because the truth is, because you are a spirit being, your relationship with whoever is in your life has always been spiritual. That is the true relationship, is a spirit relationship. The physical one is just a temporary role that you played in this existence. And the eternal relationship with your loved ones, whether it's friend, family, partner, it doesn't matter, the true relationship is always been one that's spiritual. So therefore, you're denying the truth of what the relationship always has been and always will be. Okay, but can you see why most people are not going to go down that road? Because again, he's saying to me, people are addicted to the physical, and we get it. He's saying that there are some spirits that keep coming back to the physical world because they're still addicted to the physical. And what's strange about that is on the other side, and this goes to somebody, I think this might be somebody's question. I'm going to get to the questions people asked in the group, but it has to do with that on the other side, you actually have a physical body. I mean, it's not like this, okay? But we're only saying physical in the sense that you have physical sensations, like you have a spirit body that is more tangible, more real, more, the sensations are more intense than anything you have ever and can ever experience in 3D. Okay, that's the kind of irony here. And that if you leaned into your spiritual relationship, you could in time unlock some of that. Not all of that, because you got to be on the other side, but you could unlock some of that and therefore have a sort of quasi-physical relationship with anybody. But in this case, I'm especially talking about a partner. Okay, nothing is impossible. It may not necessarily be what you chose to explore in this life because you have themes to explore. And so it may or may not come to pass. It depends on, again, what your soul planned. But the relationship on that level, on the spirit level, can be quite profound. But you cannot compare that to the physical. It's like completely unfair and irrelevant. It is a superior relationship in truth because you're coming back to the core of the relationship, which is based on unconditional love. And I don't care how much you or your loved one loved each other, all that. I get it. We love as best we can. We're in the body, but very, 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 very few people truly love unconditionally. Okay, because you have an ego and you have a physical body. You've been programmed. It's how it was designed to be. I'm not, no judgment in there. But they pretty much, at least if they've gotten whatever healing they may have needed to get to kind of process their recent life here in a body, they are more in tune with their unconditional love. Okay, so that's why it's about us raising our frequency by loving ourselves unconditionally and others. And therefore, we're more of a closer match to our loved ones in the spirit world. All right, so that's enough about that. I'm going to answer questions now from the group. Let me just pull it up. Put it on my phone. All right. All right, Cleo, I'm going to answer Cleo's question here. So Cleo's question was, I was wondering about babies and young children who cross to the other side. Do they grow up in heaven or are they able to reincarnate at any time? What about babies that are aborted? Okay, first of all, I'm going to back up to answer a question, come at it a little different way. First, you need to understand that every soul chooses its life. And whether it's just comes in as, and I literally mean as a cell, like the beginning of a fetus, or the full fetus, or a baby, or lives to be 100, okay? The soul chose that, right? And it's a choice. It's always a choice. Nobody has to come here. And babies, they come, let's say they're aborted, or let's say they die on birth or whatever, okay? Yeah, that baby can continue to grow on the other side. But remember, you are multidimensional. That baby is too. That's just one of, could be thousands of parallel lives that they're living. But they're continuing to grow because they dipped into the physical world, were born, and now they're continuing on the other side. So all that happens. Um, Same thing with babies that are aborted. I know this is true because I worked with one of my clients in the Bridge to Heaven session. I think she was trying to connect with her mother or grandmother or somebody, but who came through was this young woman, right? This beautiful young woman. She looked to be like in her 20s or something like that, maybe late teens, but beautiful young woman. And at first, when she saw this young woman, she was like, I don't know who this is. Like, this is really weird. Like, who is this? And I sat in the session with her and held the space for her. And eventually she had this realization. She said, oh my God. I said, what? I know who that is. I said, okay, who is it? She said, that's the daughter that I gave birth to, but she died like after like a week, okay, from something, some complication. And she just knew that who she was seeing was this daughter. So she broke down crying, and the daughter was talking to her and saying, I'm over here. I've been part of the family. I'm always with you. I'm with the other kids, and on and on, right? I don't think we went on to connect with the grandmother. I think she was just so blown away by meeting her daughter in spirit. So yeah, that happens. And if anyone is familiar with Alan Botkin's book, Induced After Death Communication, he starts it off with telling the story of the first induced after death communication session he had that happened spontaneously, where the patient who was in the military in, I think it was in Vietnam, and he had become very attached to this 12-year-old child that he wanted to adopt actually and take home with him. And he was just broken up when she died. Like they came under attack in their vehicle that they're all riding in, and she died. Her intestines were just blown apart, and he found her. So that was catastrophic for him emotionally. He had PTSD for years. I mean, I think a couple of like decades or something, and he was really a mess. But in his session, she came through, and he saw her and knew she had grown up, and she said, everything's fine. I'm here. I didn't die. I'll see you later, right? So his PTSD was healed on the spot because he somehow felt, of course, responsible, as we often people will feel. And that was it for him, right? So she came through saying, I'm here. I'm like 20, and she looked like she was in her 20s. So again, that just proves what I'm saying, that we do grow up on the other side. But remember, we're not just that spirit. You are not just who you think you are right now either. That's not often discussed in mediumship circles. At least I haven't heard that. I could be wrong. But you are living multidimensional lives, right? So I think I answered that question. Now, Jennifer had a question. I have a question about animals. How can I help one of my animals not feel so anxious when he is feeling and seeing the presence of spirit? And are there tips you could provide to help animals who have had traumatic experiences with an owner's passing? Um, let me answer the last part first. When when Alan passed away, we had a cat that I had to give away. I had a Reiki student of mine offered to adopt him. His name was Danny. And Danny was totally attached to Alan. It was all Alan, Alan, Alan. He'd come up to Alan and go tap him on his arm, like, Alan, pet me, Alan. He wouldn't do that to me. He'd be like, Alan. So he was Alan's cat. So this cat was adopted out not far from me, actually, where I live, but he hadn't been with us for about maybe almost a year. Okay, maybe a little less than that. And after Ellen passed, my student called me, or I think she messaged me on Facebook and said, Pam, when did Alan pass? I'm so sorry. I heard he passed, but when was it? And I told her the date, and she goes, oh my goodness. She goes, the day before Alan passed, she goes, Danny was just not his old self. He was getting in fights with her other cats, which he never did because he's very easygoing, laid back cat. But he was getting angry at them and he was just upset. He was just running around. And then she said about a couple days later, he was back to normal. And Alan said to me, he goes, well, I went to see Danny and say, I'm okay, I'm right here. Like, I'm always here. Like, I'll be with you. But at the time, Danny probably knew that something wasn't right. Something's not right with Alan. And so they do react, but the loved one in the spirit world can certainly come and say, and I'm okay, and comfort the animal. So I wouldn't worry so much about that. But as far as an animal being sensitive about the presence of spirit, I would just communicate with the animal that everything's okay, that this is fine, this is okay, like you're safe, it's all right. Okay. There's not much more you can do because it depends on what experience triggered that anyway, because it's actually very normal and natural for all animals to see spirit. So this animal, if an animal had a negative experience, then it's like it got traumatized. So I would just keep loving the animal and saying everything's okay and talk to them kind of telepathically. Some people have a gift for that, some people don't. But just reassure it that's it's all right, it's all fine, it's all fine, it's all good. You're safe, right? Just keep reinforcing the truth that they're safe. And that's, the best you can do, I feel. All right. Next question. Marie's asking, what setting she wants to know about Illuminate Nova. What setting on Illuminate Illuminate, in case anybody doesn't know, is an app on for your phone that you can hold up to your eyes. You have to close your eyes, and these strobing lights flash on and off, and it kind of takes you into an altered state. Highly recommend Illuminate. I have the Nova mask. It's an eye mask that is worn, and that's what Marie's referring to, the Nova Illuminate, the Illuminate Nova mask. That eye mask, by the way, is for sale right now. Just go to Illuminate. Go and Luminate is Lumenate, like lumen, right? And then eight. And so she wants to know what setting gives you the best results. The thing I've learned with Nova is because it's what's generating, it's not projecting anything into you, into your inner mind. Okay. It can't do that. It's just strobing lights. Your brain is interpreting that. So I have found that it really every time is different. And I haven't I haven't played with all of the settings, so I wouldn't be able to tell you that. But I know from being in the Illuminate Facebook group that a lot of people report different experiences. So it's going to be different for each person every time they do it, like the same one. And it also depends on, are you doing it listening to their guided meditations, right? Which I have done, and or are you doing, using your own soundtrack, which I've done too. Okay. So there's no one size fits all in any of this, and you have to kind of explore it. And even if you find one that you had an intense experience with, like I did, the next time it could be totally different. Because remember, you're always changing and you're always different. So you will never, ever repeat the same experience. You can't do that. Impossible. You cannot duplicate any experience ever. And I've heard Bashar say that too, that people are saying, trying to, like, again, duplicate different experiences. He says you never do. You never can come back to the same thing because you're always evolving, always evolving. And so the thing you try, like the meditation you try, the exercise you try, whatever you try, is always going to be different. And if you come back going, I want the same thing, it's going to be different. Now, if you achieve a high state of any kind, including, let's say, you manage to enter a deep state of peace or love or oneness or whatever you want to say. Know this, once you experience something, that is keyed into your system. So all you need to do is do your best to remember what that felt like. Okay. You can't, again, duplicate it completely because you're here and in a new place. But the fact that you can even barely or somewhat remember that feeling of oneness or love or peace or whatever, means you have accessed that state. You have accessed that state. And I want you to really take that in. Okay. You have no excuse to stay in a state that you do not prefer. Now, yes, if you're in a, let's say, angry state emotionally, of course, it's going to be really difficult to get from anger to a state of peace. Okay. But you can get to a better feeling state. And it starts by thinking a thought that makes you feel a little bit better, clearly. But my point I'm trying to make to you is that you are a feeling person that can enter different states at will. You can train yourself to do that. Alan's saying, you know exactly how to do this in the other side because you do it all the time. As soon as you think a different thing, boop. And you were so good at it. And we're trying to reawaken that knowing in you that you're a being that doesn't have to stay in any state that they don't prefer. You can make your way to the next better feeling state. But he says, like most of us, we just gotten lazy. Just got lazy, and it's just easier to just observe what's happening now and say I don't like this and let it upset us instead of thinking, wait, I don't have to, I can change the way I think about what's I'm observing, right? And maybe what I'm observing isn't going to change right now, but I can certainly change my feeling state. I don't have to let it upset me. Like I have a choice about that, which you do. Okay. So that answers Marie's question. Okay, Pam. Hey, Pam, I got your question. Do our loved ones prefer to stay in a physical body form on the other side, or do they take some other form? Can they indulge in the sports or hobbies they enjoyed in a body on the other side? They can indulge in anything they want, have new experiences, whatever they think about, whatever they want to do, boom, they can do it. Okay. Now, remember what I said earlier. When you cross over, you actually do have a physical body. You experience physical sensations that are beyond what you can ever, ever, ever experience when you're in a physical body in this reality. Okay. On the other side, it's like you step into your real physical body. You have to understand everything here is like dumbed down. It's like watered down, less intense. On the other side, all the filters are off. You have no limiting beliefs and you step into being connected to your soul, correct? So you have more senses, you have more physical sensations because of that. Everything is much more vivid, much more real. I'm sure many of you have heard people say that, oh, on the other side, the colors are like you can't even describe them, right? Everything is so much more expanded. So, yeah, they are much more alive. We are more alive when we're fully back in our spirit body. But your spirit body is a body that has sensations. Just like when you dream, you and I know that we experience things, right? You go, oh, I felt this, I smelled it. What is that? I mean, that's just, again, a watered down version because you're not fully on the other side. But that gives you an inkling, right? Like you don't have to be in a physical body to feel physical things. It's your consciousness that feels everything, that creates everything. That's all you need is your consciousness, and you have that eternally. Kathy asked, when our loved ones die suddenly and unexpectedly, are they shown what happened after they cross over? First of all, the ego personality self may have been surprised that they transitioned when and how they did. But remember, the soul planned it. The soul's not surprised. The soul is like, oh, yeah, here we go. We're dying unexpectedly or expectedly or whatever way we go. Okay, we're going. And it has full awareness of what happened in the life that they lived, things that led up to their transition, all of it. They go through their life review and they understand everything. It can happen in a blink of an eye, or some spirits will say it takes longer, but it depends on how they want to go through it. Alan went through his life review very quickly because he wanted to come back more fully to me because he wanted to get started, I guess. And that's what other mediums were telling me. She go, wow, he's really in a hurry to get through his life review and basically like be right back. I said, okay. So yeah, they understand everything. right? And they never forget anything. You never forget anything when you cross over, you exit a body and you cross over. But that doesn't mean you ruminate over everything because you're existing purely in the now, in the present moment. But all of your memories from all of your lifetimes that you've lived, parallel lifetimes, everything is all kept within you. Okay. You never have lose access to that. And you've grown from this existence and are in a new place. Okay, Lisa's question. You said that when we grow spiritually, so does our partner on the other side. When we stall in our spiritual development, they stall too. I thought that their spiritual evolution was unique to them and so independent of ours, and that we and they grow at our own individual pace that is perfect for us based on the wisdom of our higher selves and the lessons we are to learn. If my perception is incorrect, does that mean that if our spiritual development stagnates somewhat, we can actually delay their spiritual progress in a sense? Okay, I think I don't remember what I said, but I think it may be either I misspoke or you misinterpreted or both. Okay, but basically, here's what it is. Okay, I'm more talking about your connection through the veil and how that manifests in a relationship. Okay, because every relationship is co-created. So if you want that to be of the highest form or octave or flavor, whatever you want to call it, then we have work to do, right? Because it takes two. It's not like it's all the work is on them. So they have to learn how to project through the veil. I've heard mediums say the same thing, that most of them are not equipped for that. Some maybe, it all depends. Remember, some people, when they're in a body, because everyone's different, have a lot of energy, have a strong energy, especially if that person was involved. This is just an example. If that person was involved, let's say, in they were a dynamic like life coach or speaker or was somebody like a motivational right speaker, you know what I mean, teachers like that, because they have to develop a high presence. They have a heightened energy. So often those people can come through really strong, or the person was just that kind of strong energy, if you know what I mean. And so they could be find it easier to come through, to project. Whereas somebody else who was like, let's say the opposite, like very withdrawn and very quiet and introverted and what have you, they need to work that muscle, okay? Because everyone's different. But the relationship is always a co-creation. Every relationship you have with anybody, whether in a body or on the other side, is a co-creation. It's not just you and it's not just them. It's like you are selecting from them what you want to experience of them. But in terms of them being on the other side, they need to find a way to come through more strongly. And you have to rise up to meet them, to match their frequency. Does that, you can unmute if you want to ask me more about this, Lisa. Does that make sense? You got it? Okay. Okay. Now, your next question was, okay, recently there have been a few times when I've heard something in my mind and I haven't been sure where it came from. I often attribute it to Dave, but on those few aforementioned occasions, I've wondered if it came from my higher self or possibly my physical mind. How can I know for sure? Or is it not even important to know exactly where it came from? So I know distinguishing between higher mind and physical mind is important, but perhaps it doesn't matter whether it's Dave or my higher self. But remember, this isn't an example of physical mind or higher mind. Hearing something, okay, external, right? Like that just comes into your awareness, right? Yeah, it's not your physical mind ever, right? Because remember, higher mind is the conceiver of thought or the translator, if you will, because any spirit communication has to be filtered through the higher mind, right? So the higher mind has to be involved. Get it? Now, the message can be from your higher mind, or it could be from a spirit guide, or it could be from Dave, or it can be from any other non-physical being, okay? It takes time for you to learn to discern who that is. Like who is it? But it's never your physical mind. Because the physical mind only perceives reality. It never conceives of a thought unless you force it to. Got it? So when a thought just appears in your mind, that never comes from your physical mind unless you were already pondering something deliberately, right? Like something like usually like maybe somebody being negative in their thinking, right? Like, oh, I'm never going to be able to do this. Like, I don't know if that's going to work out, whatever, right? They're kind of on a negative rant. Yeah, then the thought that comes in can be from the physical mind because you're already lined up with the physical mind. Because the physical mind is analyzing, right? Is complaining, is worrying, correct? You're either in that kind of negative mind state or you're neutral, right? It's either negative, neutral, or positive. Get it? There's not like anything between neutral and negative, is there? No, right? So if you're just neutral, like kind of blank, like you're not really obsessing about anything. You're feeling okay. You don't have to be feeling great. You don't have to be feeling happy, but you just feel neutral. You can even feel kind of bored, but you're not being negative. You're just like, blah, I'm just here. I'm just here. And then something can come into your awareness. That is never your physical mind. This is where people go off the deep end all the time. They don't get it. They think that that's whatever they're getting is some random thought created by their physical mind when it isn't. It is from the spirit world, either your higher self or a guide or an angel or your loved one, but it is not you, not the human ego, physical mind you, ever. I have said this till I'm blue in the face in classes, and you guys still like, I wonder what that was. What was that thought? Ellen says, write down what I just said, that the physical mind is incapable of an original thought. Original meaning like a new thought, like here's a new thought that you haven't thought before. It doesn't conceive of thoughts. It just regurgitates old thoughts. And then if you use your physical mind to dwell negatively on something, it'll keep creating more thoughts that match that, correct? Because that's the law of creation. What you put out is what you get back, correct? So yes, you can use your physical mind to conjure like the worst imagined outcome possible in your mind, right? Haven't people done that? Like, let me just imagine the worst case scenario. But that's not coming from the higher mind. That's you using your physical mind deliberately for with a negative intention because you could do that. It's just like a tool, okay? But if you let it go and just be neutral and just be relaxed, what comes into your mind is coming from the other side. Always, right? Higher self is the conceiver of thought. Physical mind doesn't conceive of thought. It will, you can direct it to make something up. It will obey you, but on its own, it doesn't do that. It just doesn't generate a new idea because it's on the ground floor level of reality. It cannot have an original thought. It only knows what it already knows. So no new information. When you get, I'm sure everybody can relate to this, you've maybe had uh, times when you just flashed on something like, oh, yeah, I forgot my umbrella. That didn't come from the physical mind. That came from your higher mind or Dave, but it's not your logical physical mind. It doesn't do that. It just perceives reality. It would just, as you walk out the door, it would perceive, oh, look, it's raining. I should have brought my umbrella, maybe. But it wouldn't say, have the bigger view and realize, oh, it's going to rain. I better remind her to get her umbrella. Okay. That would mean it'd have to be psychic, and it's not psychic. It doesn't have the higher perspective. So why should it care about the frickin' umbrella? It wouldn't, because in its mind, it's like, it's just an umbrella, like, so what, you know? But it would be your higher mind that might go, hey, don't forget your umbrella. Don't forget to turn off the lights. Don't forget to turn off the stove or whatever. And if something does go awry, like you don't get the reminder to bring your umbrella or you don't turn off the stove, just know that, okay, I'm supposed to go through that for some reason. I'm supposed to get wet in the rain, maybe for some reason, or I'm supposed to leave the stove on. Whatever's happened is still what's supposed to happen. Okay, you're going to get the message for what is appropriate for you. But you're not, Spirit's not here to save you from every mishap because you came here for some challenges. So that's where people, again, in the spiritual community, get a little bent out of shape because they just think Spirit's here to just what, be like fairy godmother and make everything better and make, solve all your problems. No, they're not. They're here to support you to learn and grow from what you decided you want to learn and grow from. And that means some challenges, some problems to work out, right? Some new experiences that you couldn't have if everything was handed to you. If everything was supposed to just go your way all the time, you would have just stayed on the other side. You actually, all of you, and I mean all of you, Spirit saying, got bored of that. Like, got bored of that. Like, oh, everything goes my way. Every day is a Disney cartoon. Every day there's no challenge. Just same, same, same. God, I'm so bored. I can't keep doing this. There's nothing exciting happening. I want something new. I want a fresh experience. I want a new journey. Let me out of here. That truly is what many, not all, many, many souls feel like. Like, I want a new adventure. There's no adventure when everything's planned for you and you cannot ever take a wrong turn. You'll never lose a game. You'll always get an A plus. You know what I'm saying? It's like after what? It's like, what's the point? You have forgotten that it's the challenges that you came here for. But we know what you really mean is that sometimes the challenges get overwhelming, right? But that's where your guides and your team can help you, help strengthen you, and help remind you and help support you and guide you more than anything, okay, to how to navigate those problems and find the solutions. Because as soon as you confront a problem, the solution is given. And for every question, there's always an answer that's immediately given. Whether you hear it or not, different story, but that's always the case. Okay, that's how it is. There is always a solution for every problem. There's always an answer for every question. So if you ask a question, then prepare to hear the answer, but don't expect it to be the answer that your ego, physical mind wants to hear. Okay. Oops. Let me look at, I think I have one last question. If I can pull it up here on my phone. Just bear with me here. Okay. I don't think it's a question. It's just Melissa saying that she's going to try to be here. But she's taking care of a kitty. I get it. I get the whole kitty thing. Now me and my kitty. All right, so that's basically, oh, we're at an hour. That's pretty good timing. So I'm just going to wrap things up here. I want to update you on the group, the new group that I'm forming. I'm still tweaking it. I'm putting content in there. I'm not clear on the pricing yet, so I will let you know when that happens. It's just certain things I'm trying to adjust in it. Um, but I'm excited about it. I feel really guided in this. I can feel the energy ramping up and the async coaching, which I've been doing. I see Debbie here and Danny's here. I know Donna is probably sleeping. It's really late for her. Um, but I'm doing a lot of healing behind the scenes, and I just want everyone to understand that miracles are really possible. We're one with each other, and I feel that the planet, of course, is in a lot of chaos right now, and healing is needed now more than ever. So while I'm still going to be, supporting people in their interdimensional relationships and teaching here and there on spiritual development, because that's always going to be my thing too. But healing is really where my guides say I need to go. And it will actually help all of you in your spiritual endeavor to connect, right? Because that's just how it is. And And if you choose to learn Reiki, that's going to even turbocharge your experience even more. And I know this because when people learn Reiki and start to practice it, and you can do it all remotely. In fact, I encourage people to primarily work remotely. It just opens you up because think about it, you're sending healing to another person, right? And to do that, you will, and don't get to take this word negatively, your energy must be entangled with theirs in a positive way for you to intercede and support them. And you can help people shift in incredible ways to heal their mind, body, and spirit. But the beauty of Reiki is that as you give a healing, you receive a healing. So the process of you being a channel for the Reiki energy cannot help but transform you if you do this, especially in the way that I will be teaching it. It will transform you. I've seen that with my client, my students, right? That they come in to the training and they leave looking like they're like their energies are boom, expanded. Of course, this would be on Zoom, but it's still going to give you the same result, right? Oh, you're so thank you, Karen, for saying that. Thank you for being here. You're welcome, Lisa and Dave. And okay, and I love what Danny says about she reassures Indy. When he is barking at the wall, he's seeing spirit and doesn't know what to make of it. Yeah, sometimes you don't know what to make of it. I think that one morning Alan must have been playing with Kai, our cat Kai, because Kai was doing weird things. Like he'd run from one end of the house to the other, and I go, "What are you doing?" He's galloping along like a horse, right? I go, "There's nothing here." And I just think Alan was playing with it, but Alan wouldn't fess up to it. But anyway, so I'll let you know when that group is ready to go. I changed the name again, of course. It's called Reiki Ascension Healing now, and I plan to do a lot of healing in that group, as you'll see, in different ways. And I invite you to join us. And first of most importantly, when you come into that group, the first thing you're going to be encouraged to do is to take the Reiki, do the Reiki attunement that I've recorded. It's a video. And then there's a little piece of some information, right? And that's not really a manual, but a little handout that you can either read in the group or you can download the document to keep it and explains what to do because I'm inviting everyone who joins the group to participate in what I'm calling the Reiki Ascension Healing 30-day challenge. And all that challenge means is that you're asked to, after you get the attunement, to run the energy for 30 days. And that's normally what they teach in Reiki anyway, is after your attunement, do self-healing on yourself for 30 days. So I want to give this for free to people and then invite them to share their journey of their 30 days, if they want to share it, in the group. Okay, so that would be the first thing you'd see if you come in, like, oh, I'm going to do the 30-day challenge or 21-day challenge, or Alan goes, or 360-day challenge, whatever challenge you want. But it'll be there for you. And I've done the attunement. I think attunement process, it's a little bit of teaching in there too, obviously, but it's not a full training, of course. It I'm going to be doing that later, but it will get you started. Because my sincere belief is that anyone who wants to be tuned to Reiki should be attuned to Reiki and at least use the energy for themselves. Okay. Working on other people remotely, that's a different story. I'm really good at that. I can teach you to be really good at that, but that's a different story. Then that takes training. Um, Although you could learn it through a video that I record too, but right now we're going to teach live. Okay. Okay, Lisa, you have another question? If I may ask another question, are our personalities the same in other realities than in this one? And why do we have so many other realities? Is it for us all to have more experiences and learn more? Yeah, basically that's it. And you have to understand that the personality you have in this life, you created it. You created it, set it up because you said, I'm going to deal with X, Y, and Z challenges, right? Whatever the challenges are. And therefore, I'm going to have this sort of personality who is going to deal with those challenges, right? So in a sense, you could say in a sense you have like a core personality, but that personality would always be positively focused. The true you, right, like your higher self, is always positively focused, right? But then the ego comes in and layers other, like, you're right, like negative ego, fears and beliefs, etc. But that was constructed by you on purpose because you want to deal with the challenges. Kind of, Alan says to think of it like you created a role for yourself in this movie called Your Life. And but you're not, but in like any actor, they imbue the role with some of themselves, right? In fact, they get caught up in their role, right? And that's why they say when they go home, they go, I can't get out of my character. Like, because because really we're one with everything anyway. So they get so blended in the role that they kind of like can't shake it. Who was it? One actor was saying that, I can't remember which one it was, but he said like it took him a year to get out of character because he got so enmeshed in the role he was playing, but obviously he has his basic personality, correct? But yet he's coming into it and maybe accenting different parts of his personality more than others. See what I mean? But you can play a role. So there's no set personality. Your soul is that's multidimensional because it can be, because you are source energy and you are limitless. So you can have multidimensional experiences in, I don't know, 1,000 realities or 10 realities. It's like whatever you choose. But understand, it can be challenging to hold this concept with a physical mind. Because remember, you're listening to me with your physical mind. Hopefully your higher mind's blended too, but your physical mind is in there going, really? Wait, I don't understand that. What does that look like? Right? It has its own programming. Whereas your higher mind would go, I know what that is. It knows all the answers to that because that's its domain. So when you're asking that question, it's from the physical mind's perspective, which is okay, it's totally perfect. See, but it's like it can't grasp it. Like how can your physical mind even understand the concept of infinity? Like, what is that? What does that look like? What is its dimensions? Right? It's like, how can you wrap your head around it? Can you? You can't even conceive of forever, infinity, but when you're in spirit, you can. You have a knowing about it, you have a sense of it, but you can't explain it to the physical mind. It's like a whole different language. It's a different reality that is not set up to understand, right? It's not wired to understand it at all. So if anything, it just goes, I don't get it. Or it's very skeptical and negative if it's got negative programming. Let me see. Does that answer your question, Lisa? Okay. And Jill, don't go away. I think you had a question, right? Did you have a question?
Yes. Sorry for my lack of clarity on this, but I'm a doctor and I have a patient who cannot tolerate anything, and I recommended Reiki to her. It would Do you have the bandwidth to take on
I'm not
patients like
I'm not I'm
Connie?
not working on anybody right
Okay.
now.
So you're teaching people to do Reiki, to learn Reiki.
Right. Right.
Okay.
I'm teaching
Okay.
people to learn Reiki.
Got you.
And
Okay.
I mean, you can encourage her to join the group when it opens because it'll be the level right now is going to be free and she can just get the Reiki attunement. It can't hurt her.
Right.
And
Right.
that's why
Okay.
I'm doing it so that people can use it to tell for their own
To kind
healing.
of get a sense of what
Yeah,
Reiki might be able
right.
to
And
do.
then she can even
Okay.
see if she even like resonates with it, right? Like
Right.
there's no
Okay.
investment. She can't get hurt by it. And if she
Okay.
says, "Okay, I like this," I mean, I have a friend or two that does still practice that, but right
Okay.
now I'm not doing that. I
Okay.
just with everything else, I'm actually
You don't
adding
have
more to
enough,
my
you
plate.
don't have enough time.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
but yeah, well
That's
tell
what
her
I
to
thought, but
have her have her join the
wasn't
group
100%
because
sure.
it's for people
Okay.
like her.
Okay. Very
Okay.
good. Thank
Okay,
you.
thanks. Thank you. Now, let me see the other questions here. Um, Sylvie, will the Reiki technique work on pets too? Oh, yeah. Animals love Reiki. Totally works on Reiki. Are you kidding? Oh my God. My other cat, Danny, that was Alan's cat. When I taught Reiki in the house, oh, my cat was out there like, I just want to be in the energy. Give me the energy, right? He'd be walking around the massage table. He'd be hanging out with everybody who couldn't get rid of him. He'd jump on the massage table one time. I go, you have to get off the massage table. So yeah, it totally works on animals. I give my cat Reiki treatment. I think I may be overdoing it because now he seems like addicted. He comes around going, like I can tell he's going, Pam, Pam, meow, meow. I want some more. Like he wants the Reiki more than food. I go to sleep already. So yes, it's very amazing for pets. So Cleo's question is, if one has lived in thousands of realities, would that make it an old soul? No, that is not what an old soul definition is. Let's be clear about that. When someone, because I've heard Bashar explain this, an old soul is someone in a particular reality. Let's say, let's just talk about earth plane, okay? Someone who's been here on the earth plane many, 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 many times would be considered an old soul. Okay. Someone who just landed because maybe they spent millions of lifetimes on another reality, okay? But this is their first or second one, that's a young soul. But it has nothing to do with maturity. It has to do with experience in that reality that they're in. That's it. That's it. So I know that I'm an old soul, which helped me understand why certain things about myself, like I don't have any interest really in traveling, and I feel like I've been everywhere. It's like I don't want to like I only want to go to a few places, right? Like don't send me traveling. Did been there, done that. I don't want to do it anymore. I rather just travel in my with my consciousness or something like that. So that's what an also mean. Also just means for this reality or any other one that that person has been there many times. So someone who's an old soul in this reality might go to another reality, another planet, another place, another dimension, and now they're a young soul because they've never been there before. They're just starting out. Because remember, there's multiple realities. You heard what, Danny? You heard Reiki was not good for cats? Who told you that? Reiki is good for all animals. And if I was someone who had a lot of animals, I would be giving them Reiki. Let me give you a story about that Danny cat again, okay? Danny came to live with us because it was Taylor brought him in because he fell in love with Danny because it was his one of his girlfriend's cats at the time, and he wanted to take her in. So I go, okay, and of course I end up getting taking care of the cat, right? Well, at one point, Danny, who was very healthy, very friendly, he stopped eating. He just refused to eat. And for some reason, I don't know why, I wasn't bothered by it. And I said, okay, well, if that's his time to transition, it's his time to transition. I'm just going to keep him comfortable. I don't know why I had that attitude, but maybe I knew what was going to happen. But I said, it's okay. Like, I'm just going to give him Reiki. Okay. But he wouldn't eat or drink. 3 days of that, 3 days of not eating, not drinking. And he was outside in our driveway to the side. There's like bushes, right? The edge of the driveway. He was lying there under bushes on the dirt, not on grass, on the dirt, and slept there all the time. And I got the message letting the earth heal him. So I would just send him Reiki, either put my hands on him if I could, but he wasn't really in the house, right? So I just direct Reiki to him. After 3 days of laying in the dirt, not eating, not drinking. One day he picked himself up, walked in the house, started eating and drinking. And he got fatter and his meow got louder. It was the funniest thing. I go, who is this cat? Like he kind of came back from the dead, right? So don't let anybody tell you that Reiki doesn't work on animals. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. That's what I know, that's what helped him heal himself. But he knew what to do. See, he knew to lie under the bushes, out of the sun, in the dirt. We tried to bring him in the house. He refused that. He kept wanting to go outside, kept meowing. He knew what he needed. And somehow I knew that he could heal himself. So he did. So Lisa says everything is happening now. Where do events in history come into play? Are they reoccurring like in a loop in another reality? You could say, you could say that. You could say that. Everything's happening now, and how can we put it? Oh, you're just gonna have to wait till the aliens land. We have first contact, and they explain the real history of our planet that has been hidden from us. Okay, because it's been hidden from us what really went down. But there are different permutations of our reality that have played out that changed, and the whole Mandela effect, right, where some people experience one thing, other people experience another. All that stuff. We're not going to go into that. That's like a rabbit hole that has no end. But all that's important for all of you and me, okay, all of us, is to just stay present in the now, in the now. Now, one thing that's come up in our coaching, and I don't think Donna minds me talking about this because this is something a lot of you deal with, is when you get in a negative state, like your mind just goes into overdrive and you're worrying about stuff, right? All that's indicating to you is you're not in the present moment, like you've dissociated. You're just like, oh, what if, right? Or this is not good, or you're just off. And all you need to do is continually bring your focus back to the present moment. Bring your focus back. You have to retrain your mind to come back to the present moment. In the present moment, you're dealing with what's happening now. So if you're worried, like, oh, but what if the roof blows off in the storm? Or what if my car breaks down? Or whatever the thing is, right? What if? You're not here. You're not here living your life. Your mind is trying to time travel to the future because it's worried about it, right? You've just diffused your energy. It's never going to feel good. I mean, it can't feel good if you're imagining something pleasant, but if you're worrying about something and the thought is taking you into a negative spiral, then you're a sloppy thinker. And you got to bring your awareness back to now, to now, and you're retraining it to be focused in the now. Just be here now. Okay. But we taught you guys that, some of you who took the Manifest the Miraculous course, right? That about, but in the moment, like come back, like bring yourself back, bring yourself back. But you got to exercise that. It comes with practice. You're retraining your mind. But just know, as we said earlier today, that it's okay if you stray off course. Just understand you can come back. But the more you let yourself go into that negative thought, you're building it, because then other negative thoughts like it have to be attracted to it. You've noticed that, right? All of you, that when you think one, the negative thought, then another one comes and another one comes, and you've drifted away from your alignment with each negative thought. So your goals, we recommend, be that as soon as you catch yourself with that negative thought, that you come back, instead of letting yourself drift into another negative thought and another negative thought, and now you're like way off course. And of course you can go back, but that's going to take time, right? Because you can't go from across that spectrum really quickly. So stop it as soon as you notice it and bring yourself back. Pretty soon your mind will just stay there. See, the idea here, when you get good at this, is that you're really, in a way, kind of blank. Like you're just doing what you're doing and you're so engrossed in what you're doing, you just kind of forget about the other stuff, right? So if you're a person, some people are people who like watch a movie and their mind's going everywhere, like they're not even engrossed in the movie. Well, you got a problem. Like your mind is really off course. Like you can't even focus on the movie. But Alan says, but remember, your life is a movie. So if you're not focused on the life that is the movie that is your life right now, like where are you? Like you're not here in your life. You're worrying about this and that because whatever happens will happen, and when and if it happens, then you'll deal with it, right? Like in the moment. If the roof blew off or your car broke down, whatever happens, like what's the point of worrying about it? It's only putting more energy into it creating it. So why would you do that, right? So just get practice and bringing yourself back, noticing that you're where your thoughts are going, and try to kind of just be present, just fully present, and and literally do everything with intentionality, right? Like, okay, I'm really focused on picking up my fork and really focused on eating my food, right? I'm not just eating it mindlessly and thinking about other things. I'm not um right, like I'm not multitasking like I tend to do when I'm brushing my teeth, but that's a different story. But you know what I mean, doing everything with really focused intention. So try practice that. Any of you who your mind just goes everywhere, just be really present and just do things with that intention for as long as you can and retrain your mind to just be here. The way I live is it's just weird. It's like I find myself I don't even think, well, I'm gonna go do that. I just like find myself going to do the thing. And I go, okay, I guess I'm gonna go do this or do that, you know? I don't really think about it. I am kind of empty a lot of times unless I'm working on something. That's different, right? If you're working on a task, you're writing something, that's different. But when I'm not, I'm just here. And now I've got a cat that constantly is like, I hear him say, Pam, Pam, I need you, Pam. I think he's addicted to love or something because he's like, he is not even about the food. It's like, I need you to be in the room with me. He's like a dog. We always have cats that are like dogs. Anyway, that's enough of that nonsense.